train tracks, exhausted from hunger. He woke up as a train ran over his limbs. He then endured multiple amputations without anything to dull the pain or the hurt. His brother and sister gave what little food they had to help him recover and ate dirt themselves, permanently stunting their own growth. Later, he was tortured by North Korean authorities after returning from a brief visit to China. His tormentors wanted to know if he'd met any Christians. He had, and he resolved after that to be free. Sung Ho traveled thousands of miles on crutches all across China and Southeast Asia to freedom. Most of his family followed. His father was caught trying to escape and was tortured to death. Today he lives in Seoul, where he rescues other defectors and broadcasts into North Korea what the regime fears most, the truth. Today he has a new leg. Somehow, I understand you still keep those old crutches as a reminder of how far you've come. Your great sacrifice is an inspiration to us all. Please, thank you.
What shocked him most when he got to South Korea, was what he found in trash cans. He said, when I was in North Korea, I dug through the trash and struggled to find food. In South Korea, I found trash cans full of food. I thought, what has my life been? Is my life worth less than trash? The incident that cost him his leg, this goes back again to the mid-90s, what is now called the Arduous March. What it was a massive famine that killed about 1 million North Koreans. Now, there were only about 18 million North Koreans in the first place. So, basically, about 6% of their population starved to death during this period. His grandmother starved to death. And so what he would do, as you heard Trump made reference to, is he would slip onto freight trains and steal coal and then trade the coal at street markets for scraps of food. And on one of his trips, he passed out and fell into a gap between the carriages and woke up when a train was running over him and tore large parts of his left leg and his hand from his body. At the hospital, the medical staff considered just letting him die. His mother begged them to save him, so they agreed to do so, but they amputated part of his hand and his leg without anesthetic. Basically, they just took a saw and sawed through, and nothing to dull the pain. And eventually he learned to walk again. You see a pair of wooden crutches his father made for him. They couldn't buy them, and they weren't given them. They had to make them. An incredible story. And what great fortitude, this young man represents. But that is what the North Korean regime is all about. Okay, let us talk about the memo. Okay, the memo is going to be released apparently later today. That Russia to undermine U.S. election law, then we are misconduct on the part of some FBI agents. And again,
this is the Colonel Jessup argument from a few good men. You can't handle the truth!
Yeah, basically, they don't want this memo out there because they don't think the American people can handle it. And they say, well, it's misleading. Well, of course they're going to say that. If it doesn't represent their point of view, they can always put out a rebuttal. The Democrats can always put out a rebuttal. But I don't think it's going to be very strong, and I don't think it's going to be very persuasive. The case that we're looking at here involves, did the FBI use opposition research from the Clinton campaign did they go to court using opposition research from the Clinton campaign to get permission to spy on the Trump campaign? And if they did, we've got a mother of a scandal on our hand. And it's not at all what the Democrats were thinking when they started this entire obsession about, Russian collusion. They still have not cited a statute that the Trump campaign supposedly violated. And we are 20 months into this investigation. We've got all these reporters looking around. Some, they want a Pulitzer Prize. Everyone's looking into Russia and collusion. And we've got a Senate committee, we got a House committee. They're looking at it, and they have this separate FBI investigation. And still, there is no evidence of illegal collusion to undermine election law. So that's where this takes us, but we are beginning to see bad conduct on the part of the FBI, on some FBI agents. Again, it's not easy for me to say that. My mom once worked for the FBI.
A Republican-authored memo from the House Intelligence Committee obtained by Fox News showed that testimony from a high-ranking government official indicates that without the so-called Trump dossier, the FBI and the Department of Justice would not have secured a surveillance warrant against a Trump campaign advisor. President Trump raised no objections to the memo's release, nor has he redacted any aspect of the memo. The FBI, in a statement released earlier this week, said that it had what it called grave concerns over the release of the memo, arguing that it has material omissions of fact that fundamentally impact the memo's accuracy. Lisa?
Thanks, John. Democrats say the memo is only an effort to undermine the Russia probe. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi has called for the removal of Republican Devin Nunes as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. The president is in the midst of a White House meeting right now with North Korean defectors, and he's just commented on this. He says, quote, a lot of people should be ashamed of themselves. That's what he says about this newly declassified GOP memo. There is a major sell-off in the meantime on Wall Street. The Dow down about 400 points after a stronger than expected jobs report.
200,000 new jobs were created. The unemployment rate held steady at 4.1%. Workers are finally receiving a little more money. Average hourly earnings increased 2.9% over a year ago, the strongest annual increase since 2009.
Thanks to Jenny Cosola. That is spurring more concerns, though, about inflation and interest rates. The Dow is down 381. Fox News, fair and balanced.
What happened? You used to go hours without visiting the bathroom. Now it seems like you're constantly getting up to pee, and you're even getting up at night to go. This is not okay. Listen, the makers of Super Beta Prostate, the #1 prostate formula, are introducing a new wonder pill, Super Beta Prostate P3 Advanced, with 3 key ingredients that are great for your prostate. It's like taking 3 prostate supplements in one. To celebrate, we're sending free bottles to men who want to cut down on bathroom trips. Yes, your first 30-day supply is free. Pay shipping and handling. Call 1-800-256-1694. Early research suggests that an ingredient in P3 Advanced may help support a normal prostate size. Combine that with a reduction in urges to pee, and you have a formula you'd be crazy not to try. P3 Advanced free. Call 1-800-256-1694. 1-800-256-1694. 1-800-256-1694. Are you tired of the confusion surrounding your investments? For the right answer, tune in Saturday morning at 11 for Retirement Freedom, where Shane Cloninger, Susan Carter, and Alex Carter of SC Financial will answer your questions on how to realize your retirement dream. Are you living that retirement dream now? Well, call in and share your experience, or call to find out how to make that dream come true. That's Retirement Freedom, Saturday morning at 11, right here on AM 770 KTTH.
Hey, it's Todd Herman here with Dr. Lee, RDDC. You know, Doctor, your approach to healthcare is to look at the person as a whole, not the label they bring on and the conditions they're dealing with. And you see people in all stages of life. Is there a common theme?
Usually they've knocked on many doors before they came here. They haven't given up hope completely, otherwise there wouldn't be a printing in my office. I had a 42-year-old young lady that came in to see me, rheumatoid arthritis, on crutches.
Yeah.
And boy, has this woman turned around. Her body's been healing. Her wrists, which were frozen, are starting to move.
Yeah.
She's able to start walking without the use of it. In the time that I've been taking care of her, I mean, her response when we last did an evaluation, rheumatoid arthritis, 75% better. Right shoulder and neck, 85% better. Weak bladder is doing better than it was before.
You know, I've chatted with her, and that's an amazing story. And there are over 100 stories just like
with kind of the toolboxes built into the side, and there was a hoist in the back of this vehicle, and then also detectives told me that there was a bag of rugby balls that came from this utility vehicle.
Trooper Rick Johnson says the truck is going to have visible damage. If you see it, you're asked to call 911. Bus drivers for Seattle Public Schools are on strike for the second day in a row, and as of this morning, there's no quick end in sight to this disagreement. But the drivers tell Cairo 7 they want more affordable health care benefits and a better retirement plan.
We need to know that after we work for you guys for 20 years and we blow up our knees and our ankles and our hips, we'll have something to take care of us.
The bus contractor First Student says their latest proposal includes $1.7 million in additional health benefits for full-time drivers, with the company paying 80% of the premiums. The lead negotiator says the company's offer is fair. The co-creator of the popular video game Counter-Strike has been arrested in Seattle for sexual exploitation of a child. He's a game designer from the Bellevue-based Valve Corporation, expected to have a bail hearing this afternoon. And a woman died in the Snohomish County Jail in Everett. Detectives say the 62-year-old called for help from behind bars yesterday. Medics were called right away, but efforts to revive her failed. Cairo 7 reports initially she was denied entrance at the jail because of a medical condition, but she was later cleared by a local hospital. More than a dozen inmates have died at the jail since 2010. Your weather forecast?
Today I expect to see some scattered /kids buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The 9 a.m. hour of the Rush Limbaugh Show is brought to you by Grease Monkey of Mill Creek.
just want to remind you, 800-282-2882. If you want to be on the program, it's Open Line Friday, which means that you can pretty much talk about anything that you wish to talk about, as suspected. And these are just some bullet point highlights to start with. The Steele dossier, the Golden Showers dossier, the dossier that has yet to be confirmed, the dossier that has yet to be corroborated, which has even been admitted to by the former FBI Director James Comey. In other words, nothing in the Steele dossier, which has also been known as the Trump dossier, has been verified, corroborated, or confirmed. In addition, the Steele dossier was contracted by Hillary Clinton. Her campaign ordered it. It did not exist. It was not intelligence. It was not produced by the American or international intelligence communities. It was the idea of the Clinton campaign, based on some early efforts by Fusion GPS during the Republican primaries, to hire Christopher Steele, a former British intelligence agent, to put together an opposition research document and make it look like it was intelligence product. Make it look like it was the result of intelligence agents, spies, doing deep investigations of Donald Trump and his family and associates. It was made to look like a standard intelligence document that was produced by counterintelligence American patriots, when in fact it was nothing more than a painting commissioned by a rich guy. This was a commissioned piece of work that served as opposition research. Everything we've known about it remains true to this day. We now know that the memo asserts that this dossier formed an essential part of the first and subsequently all three renewal FISA applications against Carter Page. Now, this we've known and talked about. Carter Page was a temporary Trump campaign official who had made some trips to Russia. And it was those trips in Russia that formed the basis of manufacturing out of whole cloth, creating a series of lies that the guy was being used as an agent by the Trump administration, Trump campaign, to seek relationships with the Russians. The Steele dossier, which has not been corroborated, which has not been verified, which has no facts in it, formed the essential basis for the initial FISA warrant. Now, this is important. Before the memo was released, and I had not seen it, and I purposely had not talked to anybody who had. So I was speculating yesterday, there has to be more in this FISA application than just this dossier. Common sense would tell me that. And remember, yesterday I was asking, why wouldn't Trump declassify that? He can declassify anything he wants. And if the Steele dossier was used to secure a FISA warrant to spy on Donald Trump or Carter Page or Michael Flynn, whoever, if it was secured, Trump can declassify it and declassify it 2 years ago, 2 months ago, 2 weeks ago. I theorized that maybe he didn't because there's more in the FISA application than just the dossier. I was speculating if I'm the politicized FBI and I'm a member of the establishment and I got to take this guy out, I got to destroy this guy, I'm going to load this application up with everything I've got. I'm going to find every immoral act I think Donald Trump has committed. I'm going to put it in the application. I'm going to load this thing up. It's not going to just be the dossier. And I speculated maybe Trump doesn't want any of that seen, which is why he hasn't declassified it. Well, it turns out that the dossier was the essential part of the original application. This is outrageous. They all knew it was bogus. Folks, they all knew this was bogus. They knew where it originated. They knew it originated in the campaign of the Democrat candidate for president. They knew that it was not intelligence. They knew that it was not sourced intel unearthed by patriotic, hardworking American spies or intelligence agents. They knew where this came from. So they present the dossier as the essential element in the application for a FISA warrant to surveil Trump, to surveil Carter Page, to surveil Trump Tower. And they renewed this FISA warrant 3 times, using the dossier all 3 times. Another bullet point, Andrew McCabe, who has since retired from the FBI, he was a deputy FBI director, confirmed that no FISA warrant would have been sought from the court without the Steele dossier. Meaning they didn't have enough of anything else. They didn't have enough of anything to get a FISA warrant, to surveil and spy on the Trump campaign, the Trump transition, Carter Page, Trump Tower, you name it. Without the Steele dossier, which has never been corroborated, none of it has been confirmed, none of it is true, all of it written and created by the Hillary Clinton campaign using Fusion GPS. McCabe confirms that no FISA warrant would have been sought without the information in the Steele dossier. This is mind-boggling. Even though I have known this and reported it to you, and therefore you've known it, even though we've known for I don't know how many months now that the Steele dossier, made up out of whole cloth, manufactured on orders of Hillary Clinton, and she paid for it, to now actually see it confirmed by the deputy director of the FBI that no FISA warrant would have been sought because they wouldn't have been granted without the Steele dossier. Are you ready for this next one? The political origins of the Steele dossier, which I just described to you, the fact that Hillary Clinton commissioned it, the fact that a law firm acted as the cutout go-between to funnel the money to be paid for the dossier, that Fusion GPS was involved in the creation of the dossier. The political origins of the Steele dossier were known to senior Department of Justice and FBI officials, meaning they knew everything I have just told you. They knew everything, but excluded that when they sought the FISA warrant. They did not include in their application that it was a political document. They withheld the political news related to the very creation of this document in their FISA application. In the real world, it verifies the judge was not told that the Trump dossier, the Steele dossier, was a political document. It means that it was presented as counterintelligence. It was presented as an intelligence product created by patriotic American spies and intelligence agents trying to save America from the influence of the Russians in our precious bodily fluids election in 2016. The political origins of the Steele dossier were known to senior Department of Justice and FBI officials. That means Comey, that means McCabe. And at the Department of Justice, Well, Rosenstein handled the two of the applications for renewal. The hits just keep on coming. The next bullet point, Department of Justice official Bruce Orr met with Steele, who was hired to write the Trump dossier beginning in the summer of 2016. And he relayed back to the DOJ that this guy Steele is politically biased. Steele told DOJ official Bruce Orr that Steele was desperate that Trump not get elected president and was passionate. So now we've learned that Steele was actively engaged in stopping the election of Donald Trump. The author of the dossier was not an uninterested, dispassionate, just go where the facts lead, ma'am individual. He was actively engaged in the defeat of Donald Trump. He was actively engaged in stopping Trump being elected. And Bruce Orr learned this in the summer of 2016, having met with Steele. And the important part of this is that Bruce Orr knew it at the Department of Justice. And yet, everything that happened, even though they knew that this thing was a manufactured political document. But there is more. Fox News says that the memo states the FBI and the Justice Department, in their application to the FISA court for the FISA warrant, also used media reporting to lend credibility to the dossier that was compiled by Fusion GPS and Michael Steele. In other words, they're preparing the FISA application for the warrant to surveil Trump, the campaign, the transition. Without the dossier, they would not have had nearly enough to seek the warrant. They did not tell the FISA court that the dossier was a political argument. Instead, they included media reporting to lend credibility to the accuracy of the dossier, which means they probably included quotes from the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CNN in the application before the FISA court to get the warrant to spy on Trump in related matters. Now, as Fox says, the key here is that Fox previously reported, based on British court records, that Christopher Steele briefed 6 American media outlets on the dossier and the allegations against Trump. So it appears to be circular reporting that was used to lend credibility to the dossier. Steele informs the media of what he wrote, which was made up, none of it yet corroborated. The media then reports it. It gets published and broadcast in the media, and the FBI, the DOJ, include all of that in their FISA application warrant, or warrant application. You want to talk about a conspiracy? It's no wonder the people at the DOJ and the FBI don't want anybody knowing about this. This is the total politicization of the FBI and the DOJ, at least the people involved in both agencies relating to this story. The total politicization and thus the corruption. Media reporting was used to lend credibility when the media didn't know anything other than what Steele told them. So Steele is passing off this fake, phony dossier as fact and real. The media is hearing what they want to hear because everybody involved in this wants to get the hell rid of Donald Trump. Now, eventually, the FBI cut Steele off After Steele's contact was cut off, Fox News says the memo states that Steele and Fusion GPS continued to pass information to the FBI through Bruce Orr, who was recently demoted over his contacts with Fusion GPS and Steele. Remember, Orr's wife, Nellie, worked for Fusion GPS. She was on the Trump research team, if you will, as early as May of 2016. So even after the FBI decided it was no more useful to them to deal with Steele, they cut him loose. The memo says that Steele and Fusion GPS continued to pass information to the FBI, continued to add to what was in the dossier, just making things up. We have a brief break here we must take. We'll be back and continue in a moment.
He doesn't hold back. The news you need to know.